Hello, welcome to the Word Café Podcast. This podcast has been designed with curated content that centers on the power of words. Can we really do anything without speaking? Can we really do anything without the agency of words? Yes, that is what this podcast is all about. And I am your host, Amakri Isoboye, your neighborhood word trader. I believe in the power of words, for it is the unit of creation. I trade in words to profit my world. Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything. How are you all doing? Yes, we're back again. I'm always excited when I come into this space. You know why? Because this is where we come to breathe, yes, and release that energy. Lean on one another's experience to forge a path. How are you? I'm good. Yes, we're in Nigeria. It's raining. It's the raining season, as we call it here in Nigeria. It's been raining in this part of the world. I know where you are. You're good. Yes, today we're going to be talking about something I consider special: sustainability and our future. And honestly, I have a professional. You can see her name, Tokunbo Ifaturoti. She calls herself Tok's Diva. She's all about sustainability and all that. You want to hear her voice? I know. I'm going to bring her on now. Hello, Tokes. How are you doing?
I'm good. What did you just say there? You just let out my pseudonym.
You are a diva. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I hear you
what
say
it's like?
raining.
It's raining here. Yes, it's been raining as in all day. And whenever it rains like this, the atmosphere becomes calmer, cool, and all that. Yes, sometimes you're just like, I just want the rain to stop. But we also need that rain to soften the earth for the farmers and what have you. So we're good. So what is it like where you are?
It's lovely, actually. The sky is blue. There are little pockets of clouds, but besides that, the it's a bit warmer than normal. So, yeah, I've had my walk today in the sun, which is good. So, yeah.
Beautiful. I can imagine. So, who is this wonderful lady called Tokunbo? Let's get to meet her. Who is she?
Well, put me on the spot there now, because I've got to think about who I am, but it's all in my head. So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me on your program. The Word Café. I mean, it's a global phenomenon. So having me on is just awesome.
You're welcome.
So a bit about me. I'll probably stick to my sustainability space, because I'm sure that's the bit you want to hear about. And for me, I look at myself as a change maker. So wherever I go, I try to find out exactly what's happening in that space, and then begin to strategize and think about what could be done better. And the whole ethos around my thought process is leaving a legacy. So that constantly rings in my mind. And springboarding from that, I set up an NGO in Nigeria called the Children, Youth and Women Empowerment Initiative. And the whole reason for doing that again was just identifying that there was a dire need. And at the time, I'll tell you what the dire need was. That was when we had the Boko Haram insurgency. And I was, in the diaspora, and listening to the news and hearing information coming out from Nigeria, it just broke my heart. And I was like, what can I really do? I already have a passion for serving. I have a passion for changing. What can I do for my country? And before then, I'd had a children's program in London called Time Out with Auntie Tokes. That was hugely successful. Yeah. So we brought children from all across the world together, and taught them about ethics, taught them about our food, taught them about our culture, taught them about respect. So that was already there. And I'd opened up my mind, to working with different people. And so when I got to hear about what was going on in this space in Nigeria, I just went out there and set up an NGO there. And I'm telling you, I wasn't an armchair NGO director. You know what I mean? I was like in the trenches. So I was in Abuja, initially in Abuja. I went for a meeting. I think it was held by Lanre Olushola.
The Catalyst.
The Catalyst, yeah. So he came to Abuja, and there, I just went there and I met two beautiful people. I met, and they were the first people that joined, the NGO. In fact, we sat down and did brainstorming. I hope they don't mind. I'll just mention their first names as Ijoma and Sulaiman. And it was beautiful because there was a meeting of minds. So they had been on ground and they were best placed to tell me what was going on at the time in Abuja. And I had a friend of mine, a classmate of mine, Zainab, who lived in Abuja. And to backtrack, when I was hearing about what was going on, about the Boko Haram insurgency, people moving from Borno to as far back as, to like Warri and moving to Abuja and all that. I said to her, Zainab, you're on ground. Tell me what can be done, So she sends pictures to me and all that. And that picture, or those pictures, was what drew me there. So forward moving now. I'm in Abuja. I listen to the Catalyst and I'm like, yes, I am ready. So me and these two people go out, we set up, just have meetings, brainstorm, eventually set up the NGO. And then we start from Abuja. So we start going to all the IDP camps. Yeah. So we go to the camps, find out what's going on, listen to them, hear their stories, find out what we can do to help them. A lot of them were women and children in the camps because, the men probably had stayed behind to protect their homes, protect their farmlands, protect their animals. So it was mainly women and girls that were there. But unfortunately for them, sometimes in the communities that they found themselves in, they were surrounded by all different kinds of vices. So people would think, well, these ones, maybe they don't have nothing to write home about. So you'd find people loitering around, like
advantage of them,
trying to take advantage of them. So we were not only trying to provide basic needs for them, we're also trying to make sure that they were protected where they were. Some of the women came down from Borno and the neighboring states pregnant, so they had to some of them gave birth there. So liaised with midwives there. Liaised with midwives there to find out what was going on. Most of them didn't have any documents that would enable them go to hospitals in Abuja. So the midwives would come into these communities and help deliver the babies in their homes. It was just like a new settlement. And I just felt at points in time, I was like, this is a lot. I can't do this alone. I can't really do this alone. So I went to Lagos Unilag and gave a talk there. I said, students, some of you I know, I hear about this in the diaspora and I'm here now and I know this is firsthand. You've gone through the 4 years or 6 years in university for those who have extended times. What are you doing when you don't get a job? Are you sitting down at home and waiting for jobs to come, or are you making yourselves available? And, hands shot up and they were like, yeah, we're at home. Nothing is happening. Even if you say we should do this, nothing is happening. I said, well, I've set up an NGO. Come join my NGO and let us all make a difference. And that's how I got some more people on board. And so whilst we had some teams working in Abuja, we had some teams working in Lagos, then the people in Lagos told their friends in Benin, in Jos, in Kaduna, and that's how we started getting pockets of people joining us as volunteers. So I know I've gone into a lot, but I only say this to let you know that I'm passionate, I'm excited about sustainability, about our future, and about wanting to make a change. So that's me.
I can hear that from your voice. When you said time out with Auntie Tokes, what came to my mind was this lady must have listened, or she grew up with the Sesame Street generation. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are, in fact, 100% right. I glued in front of the telly watching Sesame Street, watching Cookie Monster, Arnold. I could sing all those songs.
I can imagine. So when you said that, I was like, whoa, she must have gotten it from that, space. And it's really, really wonderful, translating this into reality. So tell us, this project of yours, what are you doing now? Based on what you have just laid out, what are you doing? Where are we on this? What stage, what steps farther from when it started? Where are we?
Yeah, so we've done a lot. We've really done quite a lot. So what I've done in the diaspora is to link up with people, should I say like-minded people, who want to give back to their countries, And so there's an NGO here called the Nigerian, called NSF. I've forgotten the full acronym now, but anyway, NSF UK, that's the acronym, NSF UK, Nigerian Schools Foundation UK, yeah. And what they do is that they help us do like a clarion call, yeah? Mm-hmm. So every summer, they have like a garden kind of activity where they bring all people that have gone to universities or secondary schools in Nigeria. They've all come together to set up this foundation. And then they ask, do you have books? Do you have anything that you want to send back to Nigeria to help your old schools? And we reached out to them and they were like happy with what we had done so far in Nigeria. And we now partnered with them to run what we call a book drive. And so with this book drive, so we get books, like thousands of books from the United Kingdom, get these books. And we have a donor really that is into the shipping business, and he helps us ship the book to Nigeria. And then when they get to Nigeria, the team and myself, when I'm around, now distribute the books to schools that need them. So we don't just give schools the books. What we do is schools win the books. So as part of our activities, we do like drama, debating. We talk about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and get them to think about what's happening in their communities and come up with initiatives. And then, that's how we donate the books to schools. So that has been one of the key elements of our foundation in Nigeria. The other thing that we've done again is empowering youth. So, I mentioned, they go to university. Some don't even have the capacity to go to university and are still in different neighborhoods. So we reached out to the Ikorodu community. And we set up like a workshop where we were teaching young girls how to make pastries, things that they could sell and make money, instead of waiting and sitting down at home and not doing anything. That was really, and then when they finished the training, we gave them seed money to set up their own businesses. So it's been very, very useful and a good way to impact knowledge to them and also entrepreneurship skills. Other things that we've done is working with kids in primary schools as well. So we've teamed up with an artist at Ronke. She's got a gallery, the Ronke Scott Gallery, and she goes around with us as well. Yeah, teaching kids how to make arts and crafts designs from material, from all sorts of products that are around, just to beautify the environment, beautify their schools, and it's just been an amazing journey.
Beautiful. Okay, now, how do you track your progress in what you do? Because you are in diaspora more or less, so you push things to Nigeria and all that. So how do you track the progress in what you do?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, nerds. Come listen to the History Nerds United podcast, and let's make history fun again. We interview today's best authors, whether they are established Pulitzer Prize winners or someone debuting their first book. Let us show you that history is not a boring class you took in high school, but a place where the best stories come from. And we don't just cover history. We also love to chat about true crime, biographies, memoirs, and so much more. So head on over to History Nerds United and let us introduce you to your new favorite book and learn the story behind the story.
History Nerds United.
Yeah, so we have a lot of foot soldiers in Nigeria, and our foot soldiers are the ones that do the tracking, the monitoring, and the evaluation. And so, for instance, if I use an example of maybe let's use an example of an IDP camp. We already have people on ground. We do the head count. We know the number of women that are there, the number of children that are there. We do the segmentation, girls and boys. And so if it's food that we're donating, we know the kind of food and the amount of food that we need to donate for children and the same thing for the adults. If it's a program whereby we want to empower women with like bead making or jewelry making, again, we have all those head counts. So that's what we use to at least manage the training sessions. Outside of that, when the training sessions are going on, we have quite a number of facilitators as well who manage the journey. So they're given assignments to do. We track that from beginning to end. It's almost run like a project. So we track all that. And we also enable them, provide a safe environment whereby they can give an update on what it is that they're doing, an environment whereby they can also collaborate with others, because it's very important that unity is also there, and a space whereby they can look out for each other as well. So data is also captured in that way. And then when the whole program has finished, we give them depending on how long the project is for, maybe within every month, the team go back again to check on them and to make sure that all the things that they've been taught is still being put into practice. And if there's anybody that's struggling, we use that platform again to be there, to be a friend to them, and then bring them up to par. So those are the things that we put in place to ensure that we manage and monitor exactly what's going on. The other thing that we do again is we always liaise with the local chiefs there. So when we go into an environment, we make sure that we see the chiefs and their staff. So they also are a conduit that help us to manage what's going on. So sometimes I get calls that even from the person that's overseeing, maybe working with the chief in the community, to say, hang on, somebody has just come in and burgled somewhere, or we're still waiting for the midwife, to come and help deliver a baby, or something has happened. So those are the kind of tabs that we have in communities to make sure that we're monitoring and evaluating them accordingly.
Amazing. Do you get overwhelmed? Because considering all what you've said now, do you get overwhelmed? Like, these things are just too much. I need help. Have you ever gone through that phase before?
Oh, yes. When you go through the trajectory of trying to help others, or even trying to leave that legacy in that kind of a space, you will go through that. It's just inevitable. And because of the nation that we work in, that is extremely fluid, it's almost, to use, for want of a better word, volatile. Things just keep on changing. Sometimes you can't really manage what's happening. So yes, we do go through that. But the great thing is that we have coping mechanisms in place. The team are aware of what to do when they start seeing these type of signs that are showing that, we're getting overwhelmed. And because we have volunteers and sponsors and supporters across Nigeria, because for instance, we've gone to all the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria to do one thing or the other. So we have that track record. So if there's at any point in time, if anybody begins to feel overwhelmed, then we have other volunteers that can step in to just help and make sure that they don't get to the stage whereby they're fatigued or are burning out. And then also the other thing that we put in place is knowing when to step back. Most of the projects that we do, we go into the community and liaise with the community and find out what it is that they want. So when we do things in that, we almost have like a succession plan. So when we finish with the community, there's always somebody in the community that is our anchor that continues to enable the project to run after we've closed out. So that helps. And then our role is no longer hands-on. It's more almost advising or almost checking on them to make sure what's going on. Yeah. So that's how that gets managed. But the thing is, it's not my 9-to-5 job. I'm a lawyer by profession, and then I've moved into the project management world. So I'm also, but it's a case whereby all the skills that I have, when I was actively practicing law, all those skills have helped. Actively, now that I'm in the project management space, and I've worked in different sectors in the project management space, so all those skills come to bear. So when I'm having meetings, or if anything is happening and I'm in New York and I'm attending the United Nations, I put on that hat and I zone out from everything else that's around me, and I'm like, yes, I'm focusing on what's happening here in New York and the information that I'm going to take back to the diaspora, or even take back to England and say, this is what's happening now, this is current, what can we do to make that difference, what can we do to align ourselves with what's going on. And that's how we tapped into the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is around education, and that's where the book Drive sprung up from.
Beautiful, guys. We've been talking with Tokunbo. You'll agree with me, she's passionate about this subject matter, sustainability, and the way she's been given out blow by blow, as in should I say, response to everything. It's amazing. You will agree with me, it's amazing. Thank you. Now, what's next for you within this space? Because it appears you've been doing this for, like, say, correct me, 4, 5, 6 years.
Yes, in Nigeria, 4, 5, 6 years. And then before then, I had the time out with Auntie Tokes, and then I also had the Lighthouse Children's productions in London as well. So it's been a while. It's always been there, and it's not just Nigeria alone. So I've gone to other countries as well, like been to South Africa and done some charity work in South Africa as well, done some in Ghana as well. So the African continent has quite a number of resources, but it also has quite a number of different nuances that require not just us in Africa, that people living in Africa, but also Africans living in the diaspora to also look and think, what can be done. I mean, if you look at the United Nations, when they talk about sustainability, the key thing that anchors their message is trying to meet the needs of the present. That's you and I, our children, our older ones, our younger ones, without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So it's a forward thinking process, and it just goes back to making sure that we're not just selfish and thinking about only ourselves. What are we leaving on earth right now for the next generation? Are we depleting the world? Are we providing a good educational system that can ensure that when these young ones go from the primary school to the secondary school to the universities, the quality of education that they're getting will enable them be at par with their counterparts in the diaspora? So if you look at now, there's a lot of, I'll call it brain drain, where a lot of Africans are living Africa. And if I just want to use Nigeria as an example, where we have tons of talented people leaving Nigeria and probably going to other countries, not because they want to leave, but they are looking at the future. They want to get married, they want to have their own children, they want to have their own homes, and they want to have that in a place that they know that they can thrive. But at the same time, when that is happening, when we begin to lose our young ones, to other countries, then it leaves a hole in our own country. It leaves that vacuum. And so there's a need for us to take that step backward and say, I mean, not everybody wants to leave, some want to stay, and others too who have left Nigeria want to go back to Nigeria. But I know a lot of people that have tried to go back to some of these African countries and have had to come back after a number of years because it just wasn't fulfilling the needs that they'd already built up over the years. And so these are the things that I look at, and when I'm speaking to people, it's always at the forefront of my mind. And that's one of the reasons why I set up the podcast, Let's Act, Sustainably Developing Africa and Beyond. And the whole reason for that podcast is to create a knowledge sharing space where we can discuss and showcase innovative solutions that other people have, thought about or have implemented. And these things inspire not just ourselves, but others as well to advance sustainable development for a better Africa. And not only Africa, and beyond. So Nigerians are doing a lot in the country. Nigerians are doing a lot in the diaspora. But we need a platform whereby all these great things that they're doing, all their dreams, all their visions can be realized in an environment that is conducive for them now and for the future.
Two things came to my mind as you were speaking. When you talked about the brain drain, sometime, I think that was in March or April, on the platform, a program organized by Pastor Kojo Oyemade. He brought this Mr. Futurist, Kunle Shorion. And when he was talking about this same subject, he brought another dimension to it, which I think you touched on too. The brain drain, turning it into a brain gain. Because we have a lot of us in diaspora now. It's a question of amassing, putting together these resources and bringing it back home for that change. Now, there's this group, there's a couple I know back home in Nigeria. They run this school, the Knox 100 Naira a day school, as in for the less privileged or children from poor backgrounds and all that. 100 Naira a day school, and they are doing amazingly well. So it is like what you have said now, the brain drain, yes, but we have that aspect of brain gain where we put together ourselves in diaspora and begin to like ship it back home, so to say, and to strengthen that development or the developmental path that we have already charted or charting for ourselves. So when you were saying that, that just came to my mind. So I'm going to ask this. What do you think, based on everything you have said now, putting yourself and the others together, even if it is 1% of it, pushing it further than it is now, what do you think?
So in terms of what? Empowering others?
Exactly, in terms of empowering others now.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that we've done, we've just recently set up an office, and we particularly chose Ikorodu because we've done a lot of work in Ikorodu, and it was very clear that not a lot of NGOs were in that space. I don't think, we did our research, and even just we did desktop research, and we also went into the community and found out that not a lot was going on there, yet there was a dire need for some people, well, maybe just at least more people to be on ground, to try to just do something. And so we have our offices then, it's not far from Benson Station, but what we have tried to do is to partner with people in Nigeria. So schools that we've gone to, we've reached out to head teachers and principals, and we've said, this is who we are. We'd like to partner with you, and these are the things that we want to do with you. So what I found out is, when we go into schools, and if it's just even one class, if it's just 30 people or 60 or 70 people that we reach out to, there's that ripple effect. And so we try as much as possible to tailor our programs and our projects in such a way that even when we're not there, they can carry it on. Or what we've done is to deposit a seed in their minds. So for instance, when we went to Borno, which a lot of people were like, guys, are you sure you want to go to Borno? Like, you know what's happening there? And we were like, well, if we can go to other places in the southwest, southeast, and all that, we might as well go to Borno as well. And so we went to Borno, and the experience that I got there, I keep on sharing that with as many people who want to hear, because sometimes, so I grew up in Jos, so I can speak the language, I can speak Hausa and all that. So, and I went to some schools in the southeast, southwest, and some in some schools they were speaking their language. So maybe Yoruba or Igbo, they were speaking their language.
Yeah.
So the same thing in the north as well,
In the north, yeah.
Yeah. But when I did the debates, when we had the debate, so when it was time for them to do the debate session of our project, I will hands-on say the kids in Borno just stole the show. They literally stole the show. So I think that the topic was about good leadership and all. What does good leadership in Nigeria mean to you? And by the time they had finished, all of us were just standing in awe. Now, I say this not because I'm segmenting or anything. I say this because there's a need for us to really come together and forget about tribe, forget about culture. Let's look at ourselves as human beings that want to do something for our nation. I think the moment we start thinking along those lines, because everybody has something to bring to the table. Everybody does, So wherever you go, we went to some schools was it a school in Asaba? The principal was almost in tears. He said that was his last year after, I think, 25 years of service or so. And nobody had ever mentioned a library. And this is us coming to set up a library in his school. He said he didn't even have space, but what he's done now is told his teachers in the staff room to create a space for us to set up a library. Now, is that not hunger for knowledge? That is hunger for knowledge. The kids that we went to visit in Yobe, from Borno, we went to Yobe. We traveled by road. We risked our lives really traveling there, and we got there and I almost broke down when we were leaving. One of the girls came. She said, "Auntie, when are we going to see you again?" Whoa. Now, the thing is that my team and I knew that we took a chance going there, and I have to be careful because I'm working with other people's kids, so I can't put them in harm's way, but I knew in my heart that we partnered now with an NGO we saw there. So if there's anything else we were going to do, we do it through that NGO. But I wasn't really sure when I'd be able to go back again. I went to the IDP camp in Borno. It's like one of those United Nations camps where they're just tents, rows of tents, and people just donating mattresses and stuff, and the kids, and then UNICEF had built a little space there where kids could go for education and play and all that. But then it was heavily fortified. You had police were around, the soldiers were around, and so the reason why I'm saying this is when you say, what can we do? Empowerment, forward thinking, I think we need to come together as one. I think we need to look at the future of our children, of our grandchildren, of our great-children as one Nigeria. And then look at what's happening in other countries. So when you go to Canada, or you go to the United States of America, or you go to Chile, or you go to Brazil, you don't want people saying, "Oh, that person is from the north, so we're treating them in that way. That person is from the south. That person is from..." No, it's just let's speak with one voice, because the same blood that flows through my veins as a Yoruba person flows through your veins. Where are you from?
Rivers.
Amakri. You're from Rivers, yeah. Same blood flows through. If you get cut by a knife or pinched by a pin, it's the same blood that flows through our veins. So we should stop all this and just think about how we together as a people can come together and shape our nation. See, the mantra for the Children, Youth and Women Empowerment Initiative, the NGO that we set up, is repositioning mindsets. Just reposition your mindset. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it's really designed to implement quality development initiatives that remove these barriers, and enable us to have not just sustainable living in terms of, what we can eat or the planet alone, but we as a people, because when you have kids in primary school, they don't think about somebody's Muslim, Christian, from the north, south, east, west. You give them toys, they play. Even when I go to the camps, although predominantly because where the insurgency came from, but kids just want to play, and I know when you and I were growing up in Nigeria, we didn't think about that. I went to a federal government girls' college. We didn't even think about that. We were always happy to come together for our cultural days and debates, and So where did we lose all that? So in order for that to happen, and I know you mentioned something about people in the diaspora, there's a great need for people in the diaspora to feel welcome when they go to Nigeria, because sometimes what happens is you have that dichotomy, isn't it? It's like, oh, so you've gone and you want to come back now. It ain't happening, or there's like, we've been here, we've suffered, and you think you can just come and you want to make a change. Nah, you have to take your time and understand what's going on before you. And so automatically barriers are already being put up. And so some people from the diaspora have some things they'd love to share about what's happened in the diaspora and why some things are working well in particular sectors that they think can be lessons learned for us in Nigeria. But sometimes you meet a certain set of people and it's so difficult to just get them to understand where you're coming from, for them to. So, when you talk about what can we, the diaspora, do, I'm telling you, I speak to people on a daily basis. They want to do stuff in Nigeria. They really, really want to. But the environment is not enabling. The conduit within which that can take place is not really strong enough. And then even when they get there, it's just the bureaucracy sometimes, So I was in New York and somebody told me that they'd sent about 3 huge containers of books when I told them that we donate books to Nigeria. And they told me that at the last time they spoke to whoever it is that was supposed to receive the books were still at the wharf or something.
At the wharf?
At the wharf. Yeah, they were still there, not collected. So you have things like that and you're wondering, so what needs to be put in place to ensure that when people in the diaspora come together and do all these things, how can it reach the man on the ground, the common man on the ground, the common woman, the common, our friends, our families? How do these things get to them? So again, you see people selling stuff that are meant to be donated. I've seen people selling stuff that UNICEF has donated for free to people, but they're being sold. So there's a lot when we talk about changing the mindset, repositioning our mindset. Some it's because they need to eat. It's like they need to eat. What can they do to eat in an honest way as best as possible? But definition of honest is out, because it's stomach infrastructure now. So there's so many things that we can do or would love to do, but there has to be a platform that can enable that to be done, not lip service. I've seen so many lip service. I've been to so many lip service. They say, yes, I've been to Aso Rock where people were saying there, come back, doctors, nurses, engineers, come back. We'll build somewhere for you where you can live. There will be 24 hours, light and water and everything. And some people have taken that, on board and have had to go back, So it's finding that balance, seeing how that can work. And the people like myself, I'm not the only one. There are tons of people in the diaspora who have set up small, big, medium-sized NGOs. Some you don't even hear about them, but they're giving stuff back to people as best as possible.
Yeah. Well, you're so passionate about this subject matter, and I'm so excited the way you're going about it, and just letting it out there. But I just want to let you know, yes, that we have some good people here who are out to partner and get things done. Like when you mentioned the platform, I mentioned it a while ago. When you were saying the platform, that's Pastor Pojo Oyemade. He has this program called the Platform. And yes, he's one person that I know I've been following him for a while now, and he's been doing a lot in that space. You have, like I mentioned a while ago, a couple, they run 100 naira a day school, Knox. You can check them out later online. You also have at the Summit Bible Church, you have somebody like Feladurotoi, FD as we call him. We have a couple of people here in the country who are really open to partner and get things done. So just like you said, when you go out there, nobody's looking at the dichotomy. You're a Nigerian. That's what we see. You are a Nigerian. Nobody cares. You're from the east, the west. You are a Nigerian. So we also have this in-house, a pocket few who are dedicated to seeing that this sustainable development goes as in inwards, cuts across, and all. So it's just a question of reaching out to them, and partnering with them to see that, oh yes, we can actually help our nation through this vehicle of sustainable development. Folks, I am excited. I know you have other things to catch up with, for the sake of time. Before I let you go, what is that word you want to, say to my audience within this space?
I think within this space, I'd probably go back again and just refer to, what sustainability really means. And, just in a nutshell, just remembering that it's not just about us now, it's about the future generation as well. What legacy are we leaving for the future generation? And it doesn't have to be all money. It can be education, it can be entrepreneurship, it can be sitting with a group of people, change the mindset of 6 people. They will go on to change the mindset of 30 people. Those ones will go on to change the mindset of 90 people. That ripple effect. Exactly. So that ripple effect is very, very important. And, I like the fact that you mentioned quite a number of people that are, in spite of everything, just being out there and trying to make that change despite all odds. We need more of them. We need to collaborate with them. We need to just put things in place whereby people can see that this is what we're trying to do. And one thing that you mentioned again, to manage and monitor that space, just manage and monitor it. Make everybody accountable for, when you go to churches or religious places and they say, who did you bring in today? Whose life have you touched? Let's think about sustainable development in that way as well, because a lot is going on and the world is changing. There's so many things happening. There's the environmental impact, so we have storms, we have rains, we have all that's affecting crops. Women who tend to be in the farms in some of our African countries are finding it difficult to fend for their families. The same thing with the men too. Schools, if rain falls and then windows, and why are we doing that to our own people? So we need to change that narrative. So the one word I'd leave really is legacy, or words. The words that I'll leave is, let's try and leave a legacy, a good legacy.
A good legacy. Let's try and leave a good legacy. So where do I catch Tokunbo if I want to catch her? Where?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Tokunbo Ifaturoti on LinkedIn. You already mentioned my pseudonym. That's my name on Facebook. But the best place to just catch up with me is on LinkedIn. I check my LinkedIn almost on a daily basis. So and then you could, visit our NGO if you have time. So it's www.chiyowo. So that's CHIYOWO.org. CHIYOWO.org, and see some of the things that we've done in the community. And if you want to partner with us, that would be fantastic.
Amazing. Guys, we've been discussing with Tokunbo. The energy was just, palpable. It's everywhere. You can feel it. She is into sustainability and, development. It's been 30 minutes plus discussing with this wonderful, amazing lady. I am so glad you took out this time to visit us. Now, like she said, our desire, our goal should be leaving a legacy, a good legacy for our children and children's children. So we cannot say that enough. But like we said within this space, for the sake of time, we talk and we get to that point and we tell ourselves we will come back again. But please, let's reach out to Tokunbo. Go ahead, share the story, share it around. There's hope for us. So Tokes, that final word from you before we say goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast show. It's been amazing. And it's just so funny what technology can do as well. It's a meeting of great minds. We just hit off so well that I'm sure if we had more time, we'd be here talking for the next 2 hours. So thank you for having me on your show. And I'd like to say, keep up the good work, what you're doing, connecting people with people, connecting ideas with ideas. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tokes. Thank you for those kind words. Guys, you know how we say it on the show. We come into this space to do what? Lean on one another's experience, glean from those experiences, and forge a path of positivity till we come your way again. My name is Amakri Isobuye. Bye for now.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Before we sign off, I just want to encourage you. Yeah, it's been a wonderful time. And also, I'd like to hear from you, your feedback. You've been listening to the Word Café Podcast. I would love to hear from you, the feedback. If you have any questions, you go ahead and ask those questions. You can reach me at my email address, amakrigaribaldi@gmail.com. Amakri is AMACHREGaribaldi@gmail.com. And we'll get back. You know how we do it on the show. Thank you.
Hearts and time, it has been with you on the Word Café Podcast today. Thank you for being there. You can catch me up on my social media handles, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all at Amakri Isobuye. Also, you can get copies of my books, A Cocktail of Words, The Color of Words, and my HR notebook on Amazon and on Robin Heights online bookstores. You can also subscribe to my YouTube page at the same address. Yes, till we see you again. Bye for now.